Shalom from Karen Biavna. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh has a very beautiful ha'ara on this week's Parsha based on a letter that doesn't appear in the Parsha, based on a letter that seems to be missing from a particular pasuk in this week's Parsha. Let's begin with the Gemara in Shabbos, Kuf Yud Tes Amud Beis. The Gemara tells us, Kol ha-mispalel be'erev Shabbos, kol mekadosh be'erev Shabbos, ve'omer vayichulu, ma'alela v'kasuv, ki'ilu ma'aseh shutaf la'kadosh baruch hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. One that says vayichulu is considered to be a partner, as if he's a partner of God in creation. The Orach Chaim points out this seems to be pretty odd. The world was created, after all, thousands of years ago. So what does it mean that if one says Vayichulu on Leil Shabbos, he's a partner in creation? So the Orach Chaim, which is found, by the way, in Bereishis on the pasuk Kivo Shavasim Kol Malachto, has the following beautiful thought. The pasuk says in Aseres HaDibros, Zochor Yom HaShabbos L'Kadsho, etc. Ki sheishes yamim asa Hashem es hashamayim v'es haaretz. There's a difficulty with this pasuk. After all, we would have expected the pasuk to say Ki bi sheishes yamim. In 6 days, God created the world. How are we to understand that which the pasuk says Ki sheishes yamim? So explains the Orach Chaim, the pasuk is not coming to tell us how long it took God to create the world, but there's something else here in the pasuk. I'm sure everybody has a cell phone, and perhaps if there's somebody that is listening to this Dvar Torah, it's with their cell phone, with their computer, and certainly, even if your computer has a good battery, your cell phone has a good battery, but it needs to be recharged from time to time. Says the Orach Chaim, this is true of the world as well. The world has a certain shelf life or expiration date. The world was created for 6 days. And after 6 days, the world cannot continue to exist unless it connects to an energy source. That energy source is Shabbos. By our keeping Shabbos, the world is able to last for another week and another week. That's what the pasuk means when it says, Ki sheishes yamim asa Hashem. God created the world to last for 6 days, and it's through keeping Shabbos that the world is able to last again another week and another week. He points out that Adam HaRishon kept Shabbos sheis afterwards, and every generation there were righteous people that kept Shabbos. And now, of course, the Jewish people keep the world going with our observance of Shabbos. This idea of the Orach Chaim of the observance of Shabbos giving energy to the world is something which is somewhat mystical, but I think that a related idea on the more rational, individual level is certainly very understandable. The Kuzari writes in Ma'amar Shlishi, in Os Hey, that in between one tefillah and the next, one's soul becomes darker, becomes sullied, and it's through the tefillos that the neshama gets sustenance. And similarly, he says, throughout the week, through one's involvement in the mundane world, quite often a person needs to come in contact with all sorts of things which could weaken his neshama, which could harm his neshama. It is through Shabbos, through our keeping Shabbos, through our being involved in Torah and mitzvos on Shabbos, that we strengthen our souls. Along similar lines, the pasuk says, Zochos Yom HaShabbos L'Kaddisho. The Ramban understands that aside from that which Chazal learned from here, the mitzvah of Kiddush, it also means that Shabbos is meant to be a day for our neshama getting sustenance, our neshama getting chizuk. As the pasuk says in Navi, Alo chodesh v'lo Shabbos hayom, the understanding is that on chodesh and Shabbos, one is involved in spiritual pursuits. The story is told of Rab Shmuel Shmelke Nikolsburg, the brother of the Hafla'ah, two brothers that became Hasidim, Talmidim of the Magid Mimezrich. So Rab Shmuel Shmelke was a very generous individual. Just the problem is he didn't have all that much money. Once, when a poor person came to him, and the only thing he could find is the ring of his wife, he gave the poor person that ring. Different versions of the continuation of the story, but the version which we'll now relate. When his wife realized what went on, when his wife came home and saw that the ring was gone, he explained what took place. And the wife said, "Does that poor fellow, do you know how much this ring is worth?" And he said, "No, tell me how much it's worth." And he told her. And then a messenger was sent after the poor person to catch up with him. Because after all, didn't realize what an expensive ring it is. The messenger found, in fact, the poor person and came back. And the wife says, "Well, where's the ring?" So says the messenger, "Well, the Rebbe didn't tell me to take back the ring. He told me to tell that poor person, realize how much that ring that I gave you is worth. Don't sell it just for a small sum of money. Realize how valuable it is." Along similar lines, said Rab Shmuel Shmelke to his Talmidim, the Gemara tells us in Beitzah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the Jewish people, "Matana tova yesh li b'beis Genazai v'Shabbos shma." And the pasuk, the Gemara there relates that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu that he should relate to the Jewish people how precious this gift is. So says Rav Shmuel Shmelke, if a person doesn't appreciate how valuable a gift of Shabbos is, he might just spend it on a good kugel. Nothing against the good kugel, he said, but we should realize that Shabbos is a day when we could attain spiritual heights through proper Shmir Shabbos, through spending our time on spiritual pursuits. So may we give chizuk to the world, as the Orach Chaim HaKadosh teaches us, and give chizuk to ourselves, give chizuk to the Jewish people through proper observance of Shabbos, learning Hilchos Shabbos, and observing Shabbos properly, and making Shabbos a holy day. Have a wonderful Shabbos.